I stood well inside the doorway in the shadows, hatless, my shabby form raincoat buttoned up to the neck. It was raining, November rain, cold, cheerless, and heavy with dirt. The time was almost midnight, and apart from the distant meowing of a lonely tomcat and the occasional swish-washing of motor car tires on tarmac, the street was quiet. I knew it would be. That's why I'd waited. Across the street, a solitary light burned in that shop window, and once in a while a man's silhouette could be seen. A busy, fussy silhouette. He was now bending over what appeared to be a ledger, scrutinizing something carefully. Above the window a name was painted in faded gold letters. It was impossible to read the name from where I stood, but any man in the shadows knew it said Heyman's, Jewelers and Silversmith. I worked for Heyman's for close on 30 years. In some ways it had been a good 30 years. I had always been paid regularly, if not generously, and my 2 weeks' annual holiday had never been refused, even though Heyman had often grumbled that in his young day an employee was absent, never got paid. In many other ways, however, there had been 30 stinking, disappointing, and trying years. I remember the youthful promise, the boast, I made to my wife the day we were married, just a week after I joined the one-man firm of Heyman's. I remember the youthful promise, the boast I made to my wife the day we were married, just a week after I joined the one-man firm of Heyman's. Heyman says there might be a partnership in it for me before long, but I won't wait around for that. As soon as I've got enough saved, I'm going to open a place of my own. Then we'll really make some money. You stick with me, kid, and you'll wear diamonds, I promise. And I meant it, every word. But somehow it all turned sour. There had been no partnership, and household bills had simply eaten my wages. At the end of 10 years, I'd saved nothing, and it was then my wife really started to complain. Why do you have to be a jeweler's assistant? Why not get a decent, well-paid job? You could earn twice as much in almost any other business I can think of. But I like my job. It's the only thing I know. Learn something else. I can, and why should I? I'm a damn good jeweler. I'm a craftsman. And it was true. I was a craftsman. A damn good craftsman. There had been many occasions when a lady or gentleman had entered this shop with a badly chipped ring or pendant. Hyman never failed to say, "Leave it to us. My staff are the best in London." Hyman's staff? One man. One damn good craftsman who did all the work while Hyman collected and backed the profits. It was unfair. A craftsman deserves recognition. After 15 years of marriage, the complaining graduated to fighting and bickering. I myself was never a violent man, but sometimes I was goaded beyond endurance. "You promised me we'd have money," my wife used to say. "You promised me we could have everything I ever dreamed of, and now look at us, no children, still in the same dirty house." "Shut up, for God's sake, it's not my fault." "Well, it certainly isn't mine. I didn't make all the promises, did I? I didn't make all the mistakes. I only made one mistake, and that was marrying you. I could have had any choice, but I chose you, more fool me." "Shut up, damn you." "Don't you raise your voice to me." Once or twice I was driven to the point of striking her, but afterwards I was always filled with remorse. "I'm sorry, dear, I'm really sorry. How could you hit your own wife? How could you? I didn't mean it. You don't know your own strength. I'm sorry. I said I was sorry. Forgive me. I love you." And I did love her. As she said, it wasn't her fault. I'd made a promise and I'd broken it. A man should keep his promises. That's part of being a man. Once I'd seriously thought about leaving Heyman's, but the jeweler had offered me a 10-shilling rise, and that had been enough to keep me. Besides, I'd be no good at any other work. Diamonds were my world, rubies and sapphires too, but I loved diamonds particularly. I could look at them for hours, ponder them. I understood them. I knew instinctively what would match and what wouldn't. I could sense a stone's worth at a single glance. 20 years of marriage passed, and then 25 years. I'd resigned myself to the fate as the jeweler's assistant, to the long walks from home to the dingy shop, to the moans and constant groans of my employer. As my wife had grown more bitter with age. "Look at the carpet. We need new carpet. And the curtains. My God, the curtains. And the terrible house. I'm ashamed to tell anyone I live here. Do you know that? I'm actually ashamed. Promises. Good God, if I only had my life over, I'd be wiser. I'd have married someone else." I loved her in spite of everything. Why on earth couldn't she love me in the same way? To say that she'd rather be married to someone else was awful. But she had said it, and she kept on saying it. She said it almost every day for the last 5 years. She'd said it, and worse, every night. Our 30th anniversary was a fortnight away, and I'd planned a surprise. For the past year in preparation, I'd forgone part of my regular lunch and hoarded the money. It wasn't much, but over the year allowing for holidays it amounted to almost £15. With it, I bought an eternity ring. Heyman's had even allowed me a small discount. That evening, when I got home from work, my wife had been in a bad mood and worse than usual. It was the curtains again, or perhaps the carpet, I can't quite remember, but to placate her, I hinted that I had a small gift for our wedding anniversary. "What is it? Can I have it now?" "No, not for a fortnight." "Please, please." She pleaded so hard that eventually I relented. It didn't really matter when she saw it. It was hers. I took the tiny box from my pocket and I gave it to her. She snatched it and opened it greedily. "It's an eternity ring," I said hopefully. I was puzzled at her silence. "It's diamonds." For a second I thought she was crying, but then I saw it was laughter, uncontrollable laughter. "You call these things diamonds? You call these pitiful tiny shavings diamonds? Oh, my God, you're a fool. If only I hadn't married a fool." "They are diamonds." "But the size of them. You can scarcely see them. I can't possibly wear it. I've been the talk of the neighborhood. My husband works for jewelers, and all he can afford for our anniversaries is cheap little ring." Shut up, damn you." But she continued to laugh. "My God, you're so pathetic. You're so damn pathetic. You and your promises of diamonds. Stick with me, you said." Shut up. But she'd been right, though. They're quality stones, but they were very tiny. She knew nothing about quality. Still, I'd make it up to her. I'd keep my promise. Everything from now on would be different. I checked my watch. It was time to go. Hyman's always locked the safe at midnight. I crossed the street, head bent against the driving rain, and I knocked on the door of the shop. "Who's there?" "It's me. I forgot something, Mr. Heyman. Let me in." I heard the sound of bolts being drawn and a key turning. The door swung open. "Don't you know it's midnight? What the devil did you forget?" "It's in the back room. I won't be a minute." I left Hyman muttering irritably, and I went into the back room. I fingered several potential weapons thoughtfully before settling on a heavy silver hammer. "Mr. Hyman!" "What is it?" "Come here a moment. There's something I think you should see." The old jeweler, muttering continuously beneath his breath, hobbled into the back room. The silver hammer descended with a sickening crunch on a fragile white head, and then again and again. "Serves you damn well right, Heyman." The safe was unlocked and bulging with uncut diamonds, polished diamonds, rubies, emeralds, sapphires. Some loose, some made up into necklaces, pendants, tiaras. I selected only those items that were composed exclusively of diamonds. That was the limit of my promise. It was a quarter of an hour before I was satisfied with my collection, which I stuffed into a paper bag. My final act on leaving the shop was to switch off the lights and snap the front door shut. Outside, I walked quickly in spite of the rain. This had taken me 30 years, but my wife would no longer complain. I was drenched when I arrived home, and I shook my raincoat in the hall before going into the sitting room. My wife was where I'd left her, lying face up in a pool of blood and staring at me with those lifeless eyes I'd cut out. She wouldn't look disapproving of me any more. The knife I'd used to initially silence her laughter was beside the still warm stench of her body. I kicked it and sliced off that crooked nose that had been in my business. And I bent down, I took her by the shoulders, and I levered her into the armchair. Her head hung curiously to one side, unhinged by the dozen slashes I'd taken to her throat. Necklace first, I thought. I selected one from the paper bag. Somehow the congealing blood and the diamonds went well together. Now a tiara. Oh, yes, very pretty, very pretty. And now a bracelet, perhaps two. Yes, two, why not? Ma, you look nice. My goodness, what diamonds do for a woman. Pity about the angle of the head, though. Here, I'll help you straighten it up. And that stinking tongue I ripped asunder. No more criticizing of me. Placing my hands either side, I tilted her discombobulated head, made it more central. That's better. Much better. Like an eclair after the first bite, I wiped my wet fingers on the hem of her dress. Yes, very attractive. A real craftsman's touch. I went in the kitchen to make a cup of tea. It was some minutes before I realized it. Tonight, for the first time in years, I'd only have to make one cup. Yes.